everyone, it's Evan here from the Trade Risk on Wednesday, May 23rd. We're intraday right now. We're going to look through a few individual stock setups, some names that I'm paying attention to for my watch list for potential trade setups that you may find interesting for yours. We only got 4 names. I'm only showing 4 names this week, so it should be a shorter video, 2 from my lists and 2 from Investors Business Daily. So all of the names here, the 4 names, are going to be on the long side. Again, I don't short individual stocks. I get my short exposure from inverse ETFs on the major indices or individual sectors themselves. So for example, if the market starts to look weak, or if I have some type of short setup or thesis on the market overall, I will jump into an inverse on the SPY, for example. So if we started to see the SPY break down, say from this recent consolidation here, that might prompt me to jump into something like an SPXS, which is the 3X inverse bearish ETF. So generally speaking, you're not going to find individual stock setups on the short side. For me, I just don't look for them. I generally just get my exposure through the inverse ETFs. So everything we're going to look at is on the long side. And as always, do your own due diligence, double check those earnings dates, make sure these fit for your specific strategy and time frame. So first up is GIII here. This is a retail play. Retail has been hot. GIII has been consolidating since the start of this year. So here is the pattern. Since January, we've been moving sideways from about $33 to $40, call it. And more recently now, you can see we have started to put in some higher lows, and we are working back up to these old highs here. And we're seeing potential kind of a bullish engulfing bar start getting printed here. We are fading off of the highs since I last looked at this. Before we were up closer to this 39.50 area, it looked a lot more attractive as this was sort of engulfing the past 4 or 5 days of trading right underneath or right at this downtrend line extending from January highs. So this one here, again, if we look at a weekly chart of this, you can see this is the kind of the base here that has taken shape over the past 5 or so months. So maybe a longer term play here, but I like the setup. Hasn't quite triggered yet. I'd like to see a strong close. Of course, if this starts to fade lower here into the end of the day, we would just want to keep it on watch. It wouldn't have a valid trigger yet, but I'd be paying attention to, a move essentially north of today's highs, 39.60 or so, start clearing above April highs. Some of you, I think, would maybe like to wait till we get above $40, $40.80 above this January high. Whatever fits your strategy and time frame, but I like the setup overall, like the base, recent relative strength here, and a pretty strong group, all things considered. So that's our first. Number 2 here, which actually I just found out is an overlap on my list, and IBD is featuring this one as well. But this is WRD, and what I like about this setup here is this is kind of a shorter term, what I would call more of a tactical trade, shorter term swing trade. I mean, it's been in a monster uptrend. This is an energy play here, Wild Horse Resource, a little more of a smaller cap company here in the energy space. But what I like about today's action here is the volume that's coming in. You can see it is intraday now, but we're almost at like 1.7 times the standard 20-day average, and you can see it is trying to put in, again, kind of a bullish engulfing bar here to yesterday's session. We have faded a bit off of the highs. We are holding above the rising 8 and 20 period moving average. So this to me would be kind of a shorter term play, maybe back up to these highs, maybe up to $29, stop down here around today's lows or so. Earnings are out of the way. In fact, I think they may have reported, it could have actually been today, I don't actually know, but I do know earnings are out of the way now. So WRD, another one I think is pretty interesting, shorter term tactical play there. Next up is BZUN. So this is from IBD's leadership lists. I do have links in the description there. I recommend checking them out. They've featured this on their list for quite a while now, and we've talked about this name and the base that it was forming up here, the gap that it held open back in early March, and you can see this is continuing higher now. So this is in play. This is moving. This is a momentum name. So you're going to have to pay up here. You're going to want to keep those stops tight. and look for this type of play if you want to jump on board now. But here is the weekly time frame. You can see last week is when we emerged from a multi-month kind of range here between $43 all the way up to about 51 or so, and now we are clearing above it and we are trending strongly with a new breakout move to highs here today, up 5.5%. Earnings are out of the way, and this one here just technically lots of strength, momentum candidate here, and it's just continue to work nicely and behave well on the technicals. So a little bit overbought here in the short term, but depending on how you manage it and depending on what your style is, I think you could still benefit from paying attention to BZUN. Lastly is Netflix, and I was not going to feature Netflix here because it is, I think everyone pretty much is looking at Netflix right now. I think everyone's featuring it or pointing out to today's breakout or even the recent action here. That's my only gripe with Netflix. I mean, again, the technicals are great here. You know, it topped out back around in March, and it spent most of the past 3 months kind of getting back, collecting itself, getting back to these highs, and is now trying to break out again today. The weekly chart looks pretty strong. The only issue I have is just that there are lots of eyes on this, and it seems like everybody is charting this breakout or is involved in it or wants to be involved in it or thinks it's a good idea. So that's my only hesitation. Otherwise, technicals are strong here. I have no position. I will let you assess on what kind of meaning that is for your time frame and strategy. So that is it. A little bit shorter in this week's video, but hopefully you guys are navigating everything out there well. Hopefully these ideas find you well. And as always, if you are interested in the market analysis or any of the longer form stuff, yesterday we covered all of the major markets. So just dial back a video on our blog or on our YouTube channel. And I will be back on Friday with our usual weekend market recap video. Don't forget to check out the IBD links in the description of this video. Check out the lists and ideas that they are sharing over there. I've been paying attention to them myself for the past couple of months now, and they've got some pretty good names that are running and outperforming the market just like a BZUN. So that's it for me. Thanks so much, and talk to you on Friday.